So, good day everyone. I am Wiser Colonel Asma, and for today's video, we are assigned to discuss about the dialectal tradition. So, general introduction. What you need to know about this book. So, in studying this book, you will able to know the different kind of principal ideas, issues in the area offered by philosophers from classical to contemporary times. And also, this is the third book in a three-volume series which is focuses on the subject matter of philosophy. The first two volumes dealt with philosophy of man and metaphysics. So, let's start with metaphysics. So, in metaphysics, it discussed the relevant aspect of the philosophic ideas and themes, which is centered on the basic question, what is it to be or exist. It involves such realities, changes, contingency, foundation as well as existence of God. So, sa metaphysics daw, nag-discuss siya sa philosophic ideas of themes and focus siya sa question nga what is it to be or to exist. Nganong ni-exista ug unsay rason nga nang ni-exista. And also nagtakol po siya sa realities ug sa mga changes sa atong palibot and also the existence of God. It's either tinuod ba ang Ginoo or dili. So, next one is the philosophy of man. Tells us about his spiritual nature, his destiny, and character as a human being. So, the next one is this two philosophical science is called the speculative branches. It answers the question, what is to be in metaphysics and what is to be a man in the philosophy of man. So, the philosopher presented in this book have explicit analysis of these moral choices which help to broaden our knowledge about life. So, in studying this book, you will able to know and to broaden your knowledge about how we exist and and how people develop their behavior in the society. And that's all for the general introduction.
Now let us proceed to the key ethical issues. The first key topic to be discussed in ethics is the theory of value. Value is sometimes defined as the object of human desire and striving. The ethical name for a theory of value is axiology. For the classical Greek, the life lived according to reason is the value or the end in view proper to human striving. The naturalist feels that the best possible fulfillment of the individual in society is attained through the techniques of the behavioral sciences. The Christian finds in the good life leading to union with God. For the existentialist, value exists in the authenticity of an individual taking his life and his commitments seriously and with full responsibility. For the second key ethical issues is obligation. We all experience praise and blame in connection with the actions we perform. Obligation is the claim made upon us by reason that some things are to be done and deserve praise, whereas others are to be avoided and deserve blame. The technical name for the part in ethics that deals with obligation is called deontology. Kant was a deontologist in that he placed the intuition of moral obligation at the very center of his ethics. For the third key ethical issues is the natural law. Those who would reply affirmatively are cultural relativists who, like the naturalists, view the emergence of novel situations as a perpetual condition of an evolutionary universe and so cannot grant that any standard based on an unchanging human nature can be adequate. Those who oppose this view, including the Thomists and the Aristotelians, call on a natural law theory that states that man himself is capable of setting up a standard of morality based on his own nature. The fourth and final key topic in moral theory concerns virtue, the power for moral action that enables man to act with ease and order in some area of his life. Those experienced for good qualities have been given emphasis from classical times till today. The Greek sought wisdom in philosophy and prudence in justice. In politics, the existentialists stressed courage in the face of responsibility.
The Dialectical Tradition by Kant, Hegel, and Marx. Kant not only achieved a radically different solution to the problem, but ushered in an era of critical philosophy and a new approach to the field of morality. The Greek and Christian philosophers considered man's main task to be discovering the structure and law that was already present in the world. Kant spoke of moral law as being within man. The philosophies of Kant, Hegel, and Marx reflect the brilliant accomplishments of man in the world of science and technology. In Hegel, man's confidence in his own ability to construct a completely adequate, systematic understanding of the world is at its highest. In the quest of system that would rationally explain the absolute and the world, the nature of history, and the role of spirit, Marx too emphasized the relationship between man and the world and the necessity for man to work and relate himself to the world.
Perspective of key issues. In this part, we will concentrate on the naturalism of John Dewey, who expressed the naturalistic temper in a classical manner. Values. So let's talk about values. John Dewey insisted that the value proceeds from a reflective analysis which is presented to every generation. A man seeks to transact with nature by intelligence. He increases his own value as well as that of nature by the quality of the solutions that he will bring which answer to the desires he needs in his life. The supreme value as is attained when the intellectual meditation of certain challenges that we face offered by the world successfully. One example of this is us. Students being in this new setup of learning is challenging. We face rough times during the time of pandemic, but we still go on, accept and adopt the new methods so that we can continue our studies and be successful in the future. Next perspective that we will talk is about obligations. In this part, John Dewey also speaks of obligation. His general principle on this word is that each man is obligated to the actions he made, and the responsibilities with a strict proportion in enhancing his mind and power that will reflect his intelligence. As we live in this world, we do have some responsibilities, and we are obliged to attain it. It is because it is a part of how we live in this world. Also affects the way how we live our life to the fullest. John Dewey said, that a good man is the man who, no matter how morally unworthy he is being moving to become better. And a bad man is a man who, no matter how good he was in the beginning, will deteriorate to grow less good.
So, natural law. So, to understand Kant's theory of natural law, it is necessary to realize that the ethics of Kant is institutionalistic, which means that the standards of morality will only be found if a man recognizes that the moral law is within. So, ang pasabutan is that ang standards sa morality will only be found only kung a man recognizes nga ang moral law is within him. Wala ni sa gawas or dili ni outside factor nga iyang mapangita. It is within him and him alone, and all he needs to do is to recognize that it exists in him. Next is Hegel's view. So, to Hegel, he viewed natural law in a different way, and according to him, laws and moral standards are more perfectly embodied in the wisdom of men organized into a state community. So this means nga ang law og moral standards are perfectly manifested kung gihimo ni para sa tanang tao nya on the process of paghimo ani ang ilang gibasihan kay people is a part of an organized community. So for Karl Marx, so the question of natural law and a standard of morality must be viewed in the light of the fact that by his inversion of Hegelianism, he denied the idealistic notion of a developing absolute spirit throughout history. So para ni Karl Marx, ang central positive characteristic of a man as a moral agent can be stated as a demand for relatedness. This means nga man is a species being, and in other words, to view him from isolation from his fellow men is similar daw nga gi-erase na nato ang iyang essential relation to the group, in which ang result kay it will destroy his meaning and his essence. I mean his meaning and his nature. Next is the virtue. So, the next key point is the virtue. So, for Kant, the primary human virtue and excellence is dignity, the intrinsic worth of the person, which results from his status as a rational being. So, ang pasabutan ni is that dignity, ang dignity sa usa ka tawo, ang reason why we are worthy sa status as a rational being. That's, basically mo na yung pasabot. Then for Hegel, the interrelatedness of all things in an absolute spirit that he constantly emphasized the virtue of order. So, ang pasabot ni Hegel is that the freedom of, example, kaya itong freedom, ang pasabot niya is that our freedom or the freedom of an individual should be valued, but dili to the extent nga ang pag-exercise niya siyang kaugalingon nga freedom would result to the destruction of the freedom sa ubang tao. Mora na iyang pasabot. Dayon, for Marx, the excellence of which marks the authentic human being is spontaneous and creative union with one's fellow men with nature. So, ang basically, ang pasabot ni Karl Marx is that ang authenticity nato as a human being or as an excellent human being or nga tong pagkamaayo nga tao is only proved if we are willfully united sa usag-usa. So, that's it.